It was a hot Saturday morning in Lagos. Tobi had just returned from the burial of his closest friend Chike, who died in a terrible car accident. That night, he sat alone in his small apartment, staring at the ceiling. While his phone buzzed with endless social media posts relating to the incident that resulted to the accident of his demised friend, but none of them really mattered to him. For the first time in his life, silence felt heavy in his heart. Tobi was 28 years old when the question hit him like lightning as he whispered to himself, "What does it really mean to live a life that matters?" That single question would send him on a journey he never planned for. A journey through the 6 great pursuits of life. A journey that would change him forever. 2 weeks later, Tobi traveled to his old university lecturer, Professor Ade. The man was retired now, but he was known for his sharp mind and his love for deep questions. They sat in a small cafe near Yaba. The smell of coffee filled the air as the professor leaned forward, asking him another question. "Tell me, Tobi," he asked, "what is truth about life? What is self? Why do you think you are here on the surface of this earth?" Tobi frowned. "I don't know, sir. He paused and continued, "I just want to make money, be happy, live well." The professor smiled sadly and replied, "That's what everyone says. But happiness without truth is like a house without a foundation. It will collapse when the storm comes." That night, the encounter he had with his professor, Tobi could not sleep. He kept thinking, if money, pleasure, and success are not enough, then what is? Philosophy had opened the first door, the door of questioning. 2 weeks later, Tobi traveled to his grandmother's village in Ibadan. He was so super excited to see her, yet the question in his heart kept erupting, and he got worried again and again. Mama Iya, as everyone called her, was old but strong. Her eyes carried both pain and peace. One evening, Grandma and Tobi both sat outside under the stars and big tree. The sky stretched endlessly, filled with millions of shining dots. "Grandma," Tobi said, "do you think God cares about us? Or are we just wasting our time?" His grandmother chuckled softly and said, "Ah, Tobi, you think life is only about what you see. But look at those stars. Did you hang them there? Did you make the wind blow? There is something greater than us. Call him God, call him spirit, call him universe. But don't ever think you are alone." Tobi felt tears rise in his eyes. For the first time, he felt connected to something bigger than his pain, something greater than death or loss. That night, he prayed, not with fancy words, but with a broken heart. "If you are real, show me how to live." When Tobi returned to Lagos, reality hit him so hard again. He just realized bills were piling up. His boss at work offered him a shady deal to lure him into corruption and steal money from the company. He told him, "All you need to do," the boss whispered, "is just to adjust the company figures a little, nobody will notice, and we'll share the profit." Tobi's heart raced and thought, if he could do this, he would realize the extra money, he could clear his debts, buy a car, maybe even travel. But he remembered something his grandmother said. The road that looks easy often leads to chains. He struggled for days thinking about the plot suggested by his boss. He shared the whole situation with his friends, and they told him to take the deal. They said, "Guy, this is Lagos. If you don't cut corners, you'll suffer." Finally, Tobi said no. He walked away from the deal, trembling but free. He lost his job soon after, but in that loss, he gained something greater, a conscience that could still breathe. Unemployed and restless, Tobi fell into depression. Days turned into weeks of scrolling, sleeping, and blaming himself. One evening, he picked up an old notebook where he used to write stories in school. He began scribbling again. At first, it was just random thoughts. Then it became short stories about love, loss, and hope. He shared one on Facebook. To his surprise, people loved it. Comments poured in. "This touched my heart. Please write more." For the first time since Chike's death, Tobi felt alive. He realized that creativity was not about fame. It was about expression. It was about leaving something behind that could inspire others. His words were planting seeds in hearts he didn't even know. But Tobi was still haunted by one thing: his broken relationship with his younger brother Kunle. They had not spoken in 2 years after a heated argument over family property. And surprisingly, one day Kunle showed up at his door. "Tobi," he said quietly, "I heard about your job. I'm sorry. Can we talk?" Pride burned in Tobi's chest, but then he remembered the professor's words: "Happiness without truth collapses." He opened the door. They talked for hours, sometimes shouting, sometimes crying. At the end, they hugged. For the first time in years, Tobi felt whole. He realized that meaning is not just found in ideas or work, but in relationships. Messy, painful, but beautiful. Still, the hardest battle was inside him. Tobi struggled with fear. Fear of failure. Fear of being insignificant. Fear that he would never become who he was meant to be. He would wake up at night sweating, hearing the voice in his head, "You are not enough." But he decided to fight back. He began small, waking up early, exercising, reading, writing daily. Each step felt slow, but each step mattered. One Saturday morning as he jogged by the lagoon, and he whispered, "I will not let fear control me. I will live with courage, even if I fail." For the first time, he felt free. Just when life seemed to make sense, tragedy struck again. His brother Kunle was arrested for a crime he didn't commit. Tobi was torn apart. Should he risk everything to help him or protect his fragile new life? Friends advised him to let Kunle face it alone, but Tobi remembered his journey: truth, love, justice, connection. He chose to fight for his brother. He spent his little savings on lawyers, begged for help, and stood by him in court. It was hard. It was costly. But finally, Kunle was freed. In that painful season, Tobi discovered something profound. Meaning is not comfortable. It is costly, but it is worth it. Months later, sitting by the beach, Tobi reflected on everything. Philosophy had made him question. Spirituality had given him hope. Morality had tested him. Creativity had awakened him. Relationships had healed him. Personal growth had strengthened him. He realized that meaning is not a final destination. It is a daily direction. It is in the questions, the struggles, the sacrifices, the love, the failures, and the courage to rise again. He whispered to himself, "I may never have all the answers, but I will live every day in pursuit of truth, love, and purpose. That is enough." And so Tobi's story becomes our story. Because deep inside, we are all like him. We are all searching, we are all longing to live a life that matters. Meaning is not something we find once and for all. It is something we live every day. The question is, what will you choose? Will you chase shadows, or will you pursue what is real? Remember this: meaning is not in reaching the end. It is in the sincere pursuit itself. And maybe, just maybe, in that pursuit, something transcendent will emerge. Thank you for watching. Kindly comment and share your own life experience and lessons to help others successfully navigate through this life. We can all make a huge difference in making the world a better